So this week we started the season for nonviolence. How many of you have heard of the season of nonviolence before? Excellent, many of you. Well, just in case you need a refresher, the season of nonviolence is 64 days from January 30th to April 4th. So every 4 years there's actually an extra day. But it's a practice of how we can celebrate the idea of practicing nonviolence as a tool for bringing peace to our world and giving us lots of tools on how to do that. And so each day has a theme. And if you would like your own little piece of paper that has all the themes and all the practices, they're right there where you got your bulletin when you came in. Please feel free to take one. And you can also, if you're following our Facebook page, they will be posted with nifty, beautiful little pictures. You can feel free to share with the little share button. And so those will be there, posted there as well. And no, I'm not posting them every day. You can set them up ahead of time. So even on my days off, they show up. Pretty cool, huh? And so for the next while, we'll be sort of using those different tools as something to look at. And so this week, I titled the talk, The Art of Appreciation. And appreciate, so you want to know what the dictionary says? I hope you do, because we're going to find out. The dictionary says, number one is to recognize the full worth of, or to be grateful for. Number two is to understand a situation fully. Like, they failed to appreciate the pressure he was under. Like, so that's fully understanding the situation. And then, of course, there's the rise in value or price, which is like sort of like the beginning one, because we're understanding the worth of something, right? So why is appreciation one of the tools of season of nonviolence? You know, I'm all about tools. Well, appreciation brings us together, because when we take the time to appreciate our spouse, our loved ones, our not so loved ones, sometimes we have those ones, then we see a different perspective, right? When we can go, you know, I really appreciate how my spouse always does the laundry. My spouse always does the laundry. It's pretty awesome. I really appreciate that. Just because he does. He just started doing it, and that's just the way we do things. It works out really great. I really appreciate that. I like having clean socks all the time. It's pretty cool. I don't have to do anything. And so when we remember to appreciate people around us, then it makes it harder for us to put them in the box of the other. We talked about the other before. The other is when we can say this person is completely different than me, and therefore I can make them wrong or bad or the scapegoat or evil. And that's not a very helpful tool to creating more peace and connectivity in our world, because I believe that one of the things that gets in the way of having peace and understanding in our world is that we decide someone is the other. And if we decide someone is the other, then they are not worthy of our respect, and we can not care what happens to them. That's a pretty sad state of affairs. So when we appreciation is an antidote to putting someone in the other box. Because even if there's a lot of things that you don't like about that person, or what they stand for, or what they believe, what if you could say, well, you know, we have a shared value of community, me and this person who I don't like. they're coming from a desire to have connection with their community and keep their community safe. I have a shared value with that person. We just decide to express it in a different way. That doesn't mean that we don't stand up for the things that we think need to be different. But we can do it without making them the quote-unquote bad person. Do you see the difference? We can disagree without making them wrong. Because when we make them wrong, we're in the same place as them making us wrong. And that's not how change happens. Right? We have to make, when we start with compassion and understanding, we're much more likely to be able to take steps forward. So appreciation, I can say, you know, I really appreciate the way that you have a passion for whatever it is that they have a passion for. They obviously have a, you know, people in Alaska have a lot of passion for the Alaskan way of life, whatever that means. But, you know, we have a passion for independence and letting people be free to do what they want to do. That seems to be a really strong Alaskan value, right? That's something I would say is in common with almost everyone here, even though we may express it in totally different ways. So if we can start with something we appreciate without that person, then we have a chance to see them as another person, and then we have a chance to build connections, right? So we can use appreciation to grow our relationships with the people that we care about, that we're close with, and we want to continue. Because if I can stay in appreciation that my husband does the laundry, almost always. Oh, he makes the bed too. He does other things, but these are things like he just always does, and they're just sort of done, and it's pretty great. If I can stay in appreciation of that, then maybe I can be less annoyed about the other things that, you know, when you live with someone, there's inevitably going to be things that annoy you, right? That's just how it is. That's life. So appreciation can be bringing us together in our relationships. It can be the antidote to the other. And it can also be the antidote to jealousy. But it can also be, it all depends on how we look at it. You see, when I say, wow, Nancy, your earrings are really beautiful. I really like how they're shiny and shaped cool. And that's true. I'm not just making that up, but I was like, ooh, those are neat. So that can just be like an appreciation of your taste. I appreciate, you know. Or I could become jealous, and it could be a whole nother thing, right? So we don't have to go down that road. And saying that I appreciate what you have is not about me being less. Funny line there, right? So we just want to say, wow, that's really amazing. I really appreciate how that's done, or that's something that connects with a value that I have. So we're going to do a little thing. If you got a bulletin, you may have noticed there was a little slip of paper in there that didn't have anything printed on it. And if you didn't get a bulletin, there are little pieces of paper under the seat in front of you that say notes, and you can just use one of those. And if you need a pen, there is a little thing underneath the seat in front of you that has pens, in theory. And in theory, they work because we've tested them. So, get yourself sorted. So, you're only going to want to use, this is a quarter sheet of paper. You only want to use one side because there's going to be a part 2 coming up, okay? So, even more. So, the assignment is to write 10 things that you appreciate about something or someone, something that's happened, or person, something that's happened within the last couple weeks, something recent. Not like I'm grateful. I appreciate my mom for giving birth to me. There's only one person in the room who might be able to call that one. So something kind of recent that you appreciate. 10 things. Ready, set, go. Don't make it a novel. Just throw it out there. Alright, we're gonna go for just a few more moments. You're not done. Nobody's checking your work. It's okay. So I'm going to tell you real quick about somebody I appreciate. You may have heard the news, pretty hard to miss, I think, but that Jim Bellamasi, the CEO of Special Olympics Alaska, passed away this week. And that was a big surprise, of course, for the whole Special Olympics family. And one of the things we all loved about Jim is that he lived and breathed Special Olympics. He, it was his passion, his obsession. He was so steadfast. If you met him for half a minute, you knew that was his thing. He believed in it so much. He did so many great things for our program. And so, this week as the athletes, staff, and volunteers are all sort of figuring out what to do with ourselves, the underlying theme that we keep hearing is well, Jim wouldn't want us to do anything but to plow on and do even more and continue to grow and run fast and do all the things we do. And so even in the midst of the sadness, we had local games. A lot of us had local games this weekend. That was the thing. It's like, we got to run faster for Jim now. And it lit a fire. And so that's pretty amazing that you can be so inspiring in life and then once again be so inspiring as you pass on. And I really appreciate his passion and his dedication because, I knew who he was because I'm part of the Special Olympics family. It wasn't until it was on all the news outlets and in the paper, all of this stuff, that I realized, wow, he's like super famous here in Alaska. And I was like, okay, that's pretty amazing. He's done a really amazing thing. So I really appreciate that because the program that he's built has made a wonderful positive influence in my family's life. So the next, do you remember the other side of the piece of paper that I told you not to write on? But if you did, it's okay. There's more paper under the seat in front of you. That's going to be, I think, the slightly harder side. Depends on you. That's where I'm going to invite you to write 10 things you appreciate about yourself. Oh, while I'm talking this way. So I'm wondering, because I kind of made an assumption about which one you all would find easier, but I don't actually know. So if you're brave, I'd like to know who thought the writing list about other people was easier, or writing list about yourself was easier. Who thought the writing the list about yourself was easier? Okay, and who thought writing the list about other people, just things in general that you appreciate, was easier? Well, there you go. It was like split even. All right.
I morphed it. In my first hand, I put food for myself.
She doesn't listen to directions. So, one of the ways we bring peace about in the world is finding that appreciation about ourselves, because when we can say, I have these qualities and I think that they're really great and I appreciate these things about myself, then there's not a need to be concerned about other people and what they have in their talent bucket, right? I got my own stuff in my own talent bucket, and I don't need to worry about theirs, because we all got different stuff. And that's a good thing, right? And so, there may be things where, I want to be able to play piano like Ladora. Well, if I really mean that, I could sit my butt down and practice, and I could, right? But that's not currently one of the choices that I've made, so that's not the way it is. But there's other things that maybe, I'm not going to get taller, but there's no point in being worried about that, right? Because that's just not going to happen. So I can appreciate who I am and where I am and where I'm at. And that helps us have a different attitude with the way we look at our world. It doesn't do us any good for me to be like, I'm jealous of such and such a minister because they just have this way of being and da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, they've been doing it for 30 years. Well, of course they're better at it than I am. One would hope so. But I'm never gonna be the same as them, because I'm gonna be me, doing the same job in a different way, right? And I have different skills and talents, and that's great. I don't know, having blue hair isn't a skill or a talent, but it's just how I am. So it helps us, when we can appreciate these things about ourselves. First of all, it helps combat feeling down about ourselves. Hey, I got these good things going, right? I got these good things going. So even if I don't have some other things going, I got some things going, and that's a good thing. Not that we let that make us complacent about where we want to go. Of course not. You all are smart enough to know that. And the final thing about appreciation is that we want to show our appreciation. And when we show our appreciation, it's good to be specific, because people can really hear it. Instead of, I really like how you always da-da-da-da-da, or I really like your creativity. I really appreciate how you use your creativity to, dress in a certain way, or whatever. I'm not coming up with an example off the top of my head at this moment. But you be specific. And you can even say how it impacts my life or makes my life better by how they show up in the world. That's a good way to bring more peace and joy into the world, right? Just by connecting with people. When we do that, it shows that we're being present. We're fully present with those around us. So, go out, be appreciative, appreciate yourself, appreciate others, and together we will bring more peace and love and connection to our world. That's the art of appreciation.